Okay. All right, so we're about to begin. All right. Okay. Good evening. Welcome to the September 5th, 2017 Town of Emmitsburg Town Meeting. At this time, in respect to decorum of the meeting, if you have a cell phone, I'll ask you to please put it on the silent mode if you would, or turn it off. And now I'll ask that we all please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Okay. Some basic housekeeping type items. The Citizens Advisory Committee will meet on September 19th at 7:30 p.m. The Planning Commission will meet on September 25th at 7:30 p.m. Write-in election deadline is September 19th at 12 p.m. Election Day is September 26th. The polls will be open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m., and the poll will be located at 22 East Main Street, what had been the town office on Main Street, the yellow structure. The next town council meeting will occur on October 2nd at 7:30 p.m. Okay, any other announcements for meetings upcoming? Anybody? No, hearing none. All right, we move forward. At this time present, we have Commissioner Buckman, Commissioner Ritz, Commissioner O'Donnell. We heard from Commissioner Sweeney, who advised us he may not be in attendance this evening. I'm assuming he will try if he can. And I believe we had something from Commissioner Blanchard.
8 o'clock.
That he was, is that, okay. So we anticipate his arrival at 8 p.m.
I believe it was Commissioner Sweeney's notification that he'd be here at 8 o'clock.
That's right.
I have not heard from
Not from-
Commissioner
I
Blanchard.
thought you were talking about.
Okay, all right, so, well, had Commissioner Blanchard mentioned something in the last meeting? I'm wondering if tonight is back-to-school night at his school. I thought there was that possibility, because I know that I was worried about that at the time. Nevertheless, Commissioner Blanchard's not in attendance at this time. So, moving forward, we look at the minutes from the last meeting, from the August 7th, 2017 minutes. Does anybody have any concerns or modifications or changes or comments related to that? Okay. I do have one thing. I'm going to try to find where it is. Okay, I'm looking at page 7 of 49. I'm in the middle of the page there, and it says for myself, Commissioner O'Donnell explained that this ordinance clarifies that property owners' concerns. I think it's just, the gist of it was, this ordinance clarifies property owner concerns, not so much that. So maybe we could drop the word that if that's permissible. All right. Other than that, any other modifications or concerns related to the minutes from the last meeting? No. Okay. Is there a motion to accept the minutes as modified?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as modified.
Very good. Is there a second for the motion?
I'll second.
The motion's been made by Commissioner Buckman, seconded by Commissioner Ritz. Is there any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye. The motion carries 3-0. Commissioner Buckman, Ritz, O'Donnell in favor. Commissioners Blanchard and Sweeney absent at this time. Okay, at this time, we turn to the deputy for the sheriff's report. Good evening.
Good evening. The deputy report for the month of August. Traffic stats are as follows. We had 52 traffic stops with 76 violations, 9 collisions, 3 required a report, and 4 parking complaints, and we opened 8 traffic selectives. The proactive enforcement was 14 tox cards, 21 walking patrols, 2 bike patrols, and 46 patrol checks. The calls for service, we had 1 burglary, which was at Quality Tire. It's still an open investigation. We had 2 thefts, 1 fraud, 3 destruction of properties, 7 alarms, 3 noise complaints, 3 trespassings, 7 disorderlies. 4 of those were Mount St. Mary students at their houses, 10 911s, hang-ups, 2 suspicious persons, 1 suspicious activity, 7 suspicious vehicles. And we assisted Fire Board twice and other police departments twice. Had 2 traffic arrests, and one of those was we had a juvenile arrest, and it was a theft, and then we served 1 criminal warrant. Special assignments for the month of August. We had our first National Night Out which was a success, I believe. It was a great turnout. I attended a patrol rifle class or school at the end of the month, and as you can see in the comments, about 3/4 of the way down, another school year is upon us. I just want to take this opportunity to remind people to double check the crosswalks. Kids may be running late for school, got a late, start in the morning, whatever. Obey the speed limit signs, especially in the school zones. Don't tailgate the school buses, and school buses' red flashing lights definitely mean stop. Failure to do so can award you a $570 fine. Any questions?
Great. Any questions for the deputy?
Yeah, but I think also Sheriff Jenkins put out a message there that if you're not in your car or near your car, to keep it locked and all the valuables. Those kinds of thefts have been up in Thurmont and Emmitsburg.
Yes, we actually did have, we had one of those this month. Theft of a wallet from an unlocked vehicle. As a reminder, lock your vehicles and either hide them or take those valuable items inside your residence. But lock your car doors, close your garage doors at night. I still drive around at night and still see garage doors open at midnight.
Mm-hmm.
Lock them, just shut them.
Mm-hmm.
So, anything else?
Any other questions for the deputy?
Any follow-up from Mount Security?
As far as what the
Complaints about the Mount students?
they provide, I can tell you that I responded to one. Was out in Robindale. Mount St. Mary's is very cooperative. I got names from that house, took it down there. They have more, I guess they have
Authority.
the capability of in penalizing these students more than we do. I mean, if they're not breaking a law, we can't charge them. But there are administrative actions they can take against them because there's a code of conduct to live off campus. So, but they are following up. They're asking us anytime we can get a name of who the individuals are, please forward it to them. And Deputy Whitehouse and also the Northern deputies are doing that as well. They either get the name, send it to Deputy Whitehouse and I, and then we take it down there. So, but as far as the the parking on the streets and allowed, they're definitely providing. They're also, the last time I spoke with them last week, they're going to try to provide us a list of students' names and addresses of where they're living in town.
Mm-hmm.
So we can patrol those areas a little bit more and hopefully curb anything we have from there.
Thank
So.
you.
So I know Mayor Briggs and I have been in contact with the students and the Mount, right, in regards to these incidences.
Bingo.
Question related to the accidents. Are any of these connected to the construction projects in town, or are they separate items?
No, but we did have one today connected to the, with the wind blowing, it picked up a sign and went through someone's rear window.
Oh, my.
Wow.
But,
On the square over to us, when I came in.
Toppled. Okay.
so,
Great. Okay. So your impression, traffic management is still up to.
yeah, people just need to be patient with the traffic. I myself even get stuck in the traffic going from one end of the town to the next. You just have to be patient.
Okay.
So,
Great. Any other questions for the deputy at this time?
And I just want to tell them that there's a PNC scam going out for PNC banks, saying that your bank is, your account's been suspended because somebody's been trying to get online and go in your account, and they want information from, to redo your account so they can reopen it back up. So I called PNC Bank and they said it was a scam, so,
Be aware.
if we get any of those calls,
Mhm.
for sure.
email.
Okay.
And on click.
And one last item. Any other items before? One last item, sort of getting ahead for administrative business. Civil War Century, the bike ride fundraiser for, oh gosh, I can't remember the group, but that will be occurring this weekend, as I understand. So you'll see a very large influx of cyclists in northern Frederick County.
Okay.
So just
Do they need any traffic control or?
none that I'm aware of. They're very well organized. They're based out of they use their base of operation in Thurmont, and they're usually very proactive.
Okay.
So my assumption is I've already talked to Fire and Rescue and the Sheriff's Office, but I think they should be squared away. I mean, that's what I've seen in the past. I'll just say it that way.
Okay.
Great. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Can everybody pull their microphones down closer to them?
Oh, okay.
We're having some hard times hearing.
Okay. All right. Very good.
Thank you.
Jumping out of order slightly, President Davis, do you care to share any statement tonight? We'll call you up related to, like, an announcement or anything related to the fire and rescue merger, or?
The only thing that we have, everything's still on schedule for December 31st
Okay.
as the total merge. Everything's going well. Call responses have been great, and we're hanging in there. So everything's good.
Okay, great. Thank you.
This actual, Commissioner O'Donnell, this actual request from Mr. Davis is related to road closures on Creamery Way.
Okay.
So that's what he's here to speak about.
It's a separate, okay, very
It's under
good.
administrative business.
Okay, well, I just thought there was
I
a
didn't
separate.
know if you wanted to do
okay,
it at the same time.
Sure. Okay, moving forward. Turning to the town manager's report.
Okay. Good evening. This is the town manager's report for July, and I'll just highlight some of the areas related to the streets. Staff mowed weeds from the curbs and all the developments, as well as put up new street light pole and fixture on Reedy Circle. Related to the sidewalk and bridge project, the contractor knocked over another street light at 220 West Main, as well as hit a water service line. We had a contractor dig out the service line, and staff made the repairs on the broken line, as well as picked up the damaged street light pole and fixtures. Contractor made 2 connections to the new 8-inch water line on North Seaton Avenue, and staff assisted with overnight weekend work by monitoring the job, shutting off valves, opening valves, and flushing the line. The staff also had to make some repairs to the temporary water line on North Seaton that was struck twice. And the staff continues to locate and repair some curb boxes as the sidewalk project continues on, as well as marking water service lines. Related to the bridge project, I wanted to give us a short update on the bridge project. Staff continues to remark the 10-inch water line for the bridge project. The 10-inch water line has been a point of contention during this project, beginning back as far as May of 2016. When we provided State Highway with the location of all our water lines related to the bridge project, State Highway then took our water lines and provided them on plans, either on a roadway plan or on a structural plan to the contractor. Concerns from the town were mentioned to them back in May of 2016, the location of the bridge related to where our water line was, and that the town would not be responsible for moving our water line or paying for any movement of our water line. And there have been 2 letters since then. We just recently had a meeting, and the contractor would like the town to consent for the movement of the water line. State Highway has relayed that if we do consent to the water line, we will probably be financially responsible for about 50% of the movement of that water line, which at this point, it's about $19,000. State Highway has proposed that there's other ways of completing the project, and the contractor was supplied with the appropriate information. And at this time, the town is not going to consent to the movement of our water lines, and this project is between State Highway and the contractor. So I just wanted to give you that update. John Clapp has been informed of all this, and he is up to date.
One thing to add, though, it may disrupt water service on the east side of town
Okay.
if
And
we do that.
temporarily, I mean, it's
Yes.
not a
And
long-term.
we'll make sure they get proper notice, anybody. that's
If we
affected.
consent to the water line being moved, then there will be water interruptions to the east side, but we're not consenting to the movement of our water lines at this point. It's a problem for State Highway and the contractor hash out, and we'll see what happens from there.
Question. Mm-hmm. When they get done hashing it out, and they have to move the water line, can they put a turn-off valve on both sides of the bridge?
I don't think they're going to have to move the water line.
Well, if they have to move it, it'd be nice to put, if they do
That
have
would
to
be-
move it,
that
to
would
put a
be up
turn-off
to-
valve on each side.
Right, it'll be up to staff and our engineer. But yes,
Another question, did they give a potential delay in the entire project if we do not consent
no.
to the water line?
Right now, they are able to work on the south side of the bridge. Work is continuing. They were there today, but I'm sure everybody's aware they're advertising for work for laborers for that job. If there is a delay, it's not related to us not moving consenting to moving the water line. Now, if there's a delay down the road because of it, I don't know.
Okay.
And it sounds like there's a distinct possibility that delay would happen based on the fact that they're slow now. This just might kind of snowball, so.
Yep.
And just to reiterate, so as I understand it, the town provided them appropriate schematics showing that there is a water line there.
Correct, yes.
The company doesn't seem to have acknowledged it in its operations, and now they're coming back and saying we need to move the water line.
Correct. They were provided two sets of plans, whether or not they design or planned their work around the two sets of plan and only went by the one that maybe didn't have it on. But they were advised from day one to test pit. And had they done that, they would know exactly where our water line was, because it is exactly where it is on the one set of plans.
Great. Okay. Okay. So we've done it sounds like we've done our due diligence. That's kind of what I'm getting at. Okay.
And I did clarify that in that meeting, that they did receive everything that we provided.
All right.
Okay? Move on to the parks?
Is that okay?
Yes.
All right. So go ahead.
Moving on to the parks, contractor completed grading work for the community park, or for the dog park. And we just got all the bids in for the fencing part of the project, and we're getting ready to review those probably towards the end of the week. Staff removed old post and cable and installed a new board fence along Community Park Road. That was a part of a POS grant. And then a contractor installed new section of fence on the ball fields in Community Park, as well as a fence on the first dugout to the third base dugout, and a new section backstop. And that was all grant related. Moving on.
I have a question about the parks. The new fencing. The chain is no longer there. There's now a solid board going across. So you
Yes.
can't go into the park for setting up for the bands or for using the pavilion.
I don't believe we did that section. I think it was just a section straight down Community Park
This
Drive.
is all new. It's new one going across too.
Okay.
There's no longer a chain there that you can take down and go in.
From on the parking lot?
Yeah,
There is. There's still a chain.
I don't think so.
Oh,
Okay.
well, see, I
Okay.
yeah, when we
The
had
last time someone
we had
unscrewed
the
it, we
Lions
took it
Club
down.
picnic, we couldn't get in for the grill, so they had to get a little portable one. But because the board was up, we didn't want to touch it. We thought maybe you weren't having it through there anymore.
Right. I mean, and it's there for obvious reasons. For the aesthetics of the park, it's safer. The board is much safer than trying to climb over the cable. If people do need in there for specific events, then you need to let us know. It
That's
keeps
what I was
people from
wondering, 'cause
driving
people-
through there when
asked
they
me about
shouldn't
it,
be.
and I didn't have an answer for the
Okay.
Lions Club president, Bill. And
Okay.
I said, well, I asked at the meeting why the board was put up.
Right. That's why. Related to the water side, Rainbow Lake is currently at the spillway level. Our wells are now 8 feet below their optimum level in 2011. An update, the leak detection specialist has completed his detection throughout the town and found some leaks, several small leaks, 2 moderate leaks. One leak in particular that he found on South Seaton Avenue in the area of the post office. If you remember, there was work done last week or the week before, 2 weeks ago. And because of that leak detection specialist, we are now saving, it was a leak that was equivalent to about 34,000 gallons lost each day. Or in a billing quarter, you're losing 3,060,000 gallons per quarter. And now that we have found that leak, that's an actual savings. So this is something that we will be doing yearly. He'll come back every year to continue the leak detection.
And the smaller ones, it's worth getting after them, or?
Yes.
Okay, so we'll
The
all.
smaller
we will
can
also-
become bigger.
Correct. Okay, very good.
Right. And this helps us pinpoint the lines that need immediate attention. The smaller ones we may not have to do immediately, the larger ones. It also helps us plan for the future, our infrastructure on what lines may need to be replaced. For the wastewater, in the month of July, we received 7.95 inches of precipitation. We currently have a surplus of 1.96 inches over the last 6 months. We treated an average of 563,000 gallons per day and consumed roughly 297,000, which equals about 42.2% wild water that was treated this month, or in the month of July. We had no spills of untreated sewage. We did exceed the plant's design capacity 3 times during the month of July. Trash pickup will remain on Mondays for the month of September. However, this week was bumped back because of Labor Day. And one thing that I just wanted to make note, I know we all have eyes on Hurricane Irma and been watching the tragedy in Texas. Staff is going to be monitoring it. Public Works are already making plans as we get a better idea of the trajectory of the storm. We'll meet later this week to have a plan on how we want to handle it depending on the impact to the town. So we are working on it and are aware. And that's all I have.
I have one.
Yes, sir.
On the Rainbow Lake, how is the algae control doing?
The Algae Sonic, we got it back up and transmitting, and they got all the connections going, and it started treating because we were starting to get the green algae, and they made adjustments, and they started knocking down the green algae, and things are looking really good. However, we've noticed, I believe it's the blue that's starting to come in, so they are currently making adjustments. So we're pleased with how it's working. We're still got some kinks to work through. Unfortunately, we did lose the 1 month when it wasn't transmitting, and they are aware of that and our displeasure with it. But right now, we're pleased with how it's going.
So all the
We'll continue to
communications going
monitor.
back- and the communications going back and forth from the lake?
Yes,
All
that
the
has
way
been
overseas?
fixed. Yes.
Because I went by the lake a couple times in the last couple of weeks, and it looks very clear.
They were just up there today
I
checking
didn't
it.
see too much algae on it at all.
So the kayakers on the lake weren't related to the device?
No.
No? Okay.
No.
Well, that's good. And bad. Okay. Double-edged sword on that one. Any other questions related to the manager's report?
Update on Emmett Gardens.
Ms. Sipperly will give that during her planner's report.
Thank
Okay,
you.
well,
Has all the
hold on.
information.
Which update related to?
The Emmett Gardens tot lot.
The tot lot. Okay, great. All right, so we're on the same page. We're talking about the same thing?
Yes.
Great, okay.
And
Commissioner?
just to remind everyone, bulk trash pickup on the 30th, right?
That Saturday, the 30th? Yes. Yes.
Great. Okay. Mr. Blanchard?
Yeah. Question about the community garden. When's the deadline for everyone clearing that out? I know it's coming up like in October, I think. It just kind of. You have that handy by chance?
I don't, but it's usually that first week of October. I will get the actual date, and I'll have Terry get it out
Okay,
there
can
to
I put it
everybody.
out there on the website?
I'm thinking it's like the 6th.
I think so. Like, it's like a whole like a month from now.
Right. I think it's like October 6th, but I'll confirm with her and we'll
Okay.
get it put out on the
I,
website.
I walked through the other day. And some people are pumpkins. So I just figured,
Oh, we don't want to take the picture.
well, yeah, it's just, at some point, everybody
Right.
needs to clean out their plots, or whatever. So,
Okay.
all right, cool.
Okay, just to be advised, the same thing I shared with the deputy sheriff. The Civil War Century cycling event will be in our area Saturday, and there will be some rides Sunday also. So just if we could add something to the Channel 99 and the town website, just to share that with folks to be advised that, expect cyclists
What's the name
on
of the
road.
group?
The Civil War Century. And this literally brings in folks from across the globe to our area to ride.
Saturday and Sunday?
Correct. Yes, yes. The other item is related to the paved path in Community Park. There are a couple spots back there where, and this is a direct product of the amount of rain we've had, where the sight lines are a little bit, they need some attention. I'll just say it that way. I'm thinking at the furthest fitness station out, when one comes from the sort of wet area, sort of the wetland area, as you come around the corner, there's a large growth where you can't see what's there until you're past it.
Okay.
And just as a safety concern, I'd suggest if we could cut it back so you have a much better line of sight, so
Okay.
no one gets an unhappy surprise out there from, someone or another. So,
Okay.
okay, and that would be about it. Anybody else? No? Okay, terrific. Okay, thank you. All right, so, moving on, we go from the manager's report to the town planner's report.
Couple of these items I'm going to be talking about later as agenda items. So sidewalk project is one thing that's been taking up a lot of time, actually, and I I guess the planner's office is the conduit for complaints, let's put it that way. And I forward them to the project manager. Sometimes it helps that, we have local knowledge of situations. But they contact anybody who has a problem with either what they anticipate is going to happen, or we've had a couple cases where people believe that, their steps were cracked or something like that. So we just pass those along to State Highway. There have been some times when I've gone out with their crew to redesign, discuss things, and then they redesign situations. Also, another thing we did, Terry Ray helped develop a business email list, which we've been using to keep downtown businesses apprised of, especially the parking, when there's going to be no parking and where, and that seems to be really appreciated. Sustainable Communities Program is the sort of umbrella program for some of these other things that we do, like the Community Legacy. Every 5 years you have to renew your application for that, and earlier this year the town board did a resolution saying that we wanted to expand our area for grants, and then there was about a 15-page application that had to be done, plus attachments of all the projects that have been done. So that has been submitted. That's being reviewed by DHCD, who's the state agency. Permits, the Seton Center, which is going to be built on Lincoln Avenue. All those permits were processed in July, and then we had some follow-up on stormwater agreements, but that's underway now. And Emmett Gardens, I've gotten the appropriate application forms for that level of project, and it looks like I should be able to complete it with some help from our FEMA contact person. So that will be going on. And also I prepared, in July, and advertised the RFP for the dog park fencing. And as Ms. Willets mentioned, we did get some bids in, which we will be reviewing later this week. And then I thought since sometimes that monthly report is a month ago, it might be useful to provide you with the projects that are currently underway, and sort of between now and the next meeting, we'll be working on those. The GIS, you budgeted money for continuation of the water and sewer mapping with a consultant, and we will be getting together with them in early October. What they do is go out and field map where all the like the shutoffs and the manholes, and they field map everything, and then there's data charts that they also do, so that we'll have the capability of also getting input that people like Dan and Jim Click just know in their head. We'll be getting that on the computer. The MS4 permits I will talk about a little later. It's another project that it's a major project that has to be done by the end of the year. Community Legacy, we applied for money for fiscal 17, and then their application for fiscal year 18 will be coming up. Those are usually due in November. As I said, the Emmett Gardens Playground, MDE, and FEMA applications. Planning Commission, we have a record plat right now that there's a lot on Park Drive in Emmett Gardens that's vacant right now. Two neighbors want to split it and add it to their own lots, so that's going to be happening this month. Board of Appeals, got to contact the new alternate regarding the training requirements, and also to arrange a a Board of Appeals meeting to do a reorganization. Enforcement, so there's several enforcement issues that have been kind of backlogged due to other things that have been going on, so we'll be following up with property owners and Frederick County regarding violations. And then there are some topics that have arisen that would be good for us to update our ordinance to reflect newer practices and uses. A couple of examples of those would be sign regulations and this kind of new topic of short-term rentals, like through Airbnb. So that's things that I see coming up in the future.
Thank you. Any questions for the planner?
Could you elaborate more on the Emmett Gardens Park, the application with help of FEMA? I'm assuming regarding the floodplain.
Right.
Right, we were first told by MDE that we needed to complete a lengthy MDE application and possibly would need an engineer we would have had to hire an engineer to assist with that application. After discussions with Ms. Sipperly, she went ahead and contacted somebody with FEMA to try to get, because that would be an impossible feat for us to do. A very costly feat, a very time-consuming feat. We're not talking about a large part of disturbed area. So Ms. Sipperly, through jumping through hoops and finding the right person at FEMA, was finally able to get the go-ahead from FEMA that we can do another application, probably without the need of hiring an engineer and just with the assistance of FEMA to complete the application. So our goal is to have this application complete this month to
Do we
get
have
it
to
in.
tap into any grant money to have FEMA?
FEMA should be doing it without cost.
Right.
Oh, yeah?
So that's a huge savings without having to hire an engineer, because that engineer would then cut into the limited funds that we do have. So with the go-ahead from FEMA to do it this way, we can try to get the application. Our goal is hopefully to have it built early part of the spring. Obviously, unfortunately, we have a huge sidewalk project, a bridge project, and everything else, and trying to balance it out. But that's the deadline that we've put on ourselves, to have it built by the spring, hopefully to get this application in by the end of this month.
And I never did follow up with you regarding those trees. I did look into it. It's difficult to determine on the property, the taxation map, exactly who has that parcel of land.
I think that came up when you weren't attending one of the meetings where, wasn't it found out that the trees were not town but private? Privately
Correct.
owned?
They're owned by somebody else, and the electric company goes out and trims them every so often. But who actually owns them? I don't know if you were able to come up with something, because we haven't been able to determine the actual owner yet.
Oh,
That particular section of the tax map, it's not assigned to anyone. There's no parcel number.
Which, are you talking about the pine trees that are right along the fence line, along behind the houses? Or there are some other pine trees that are down
Stand alone down by the water,
by the water?
towards the back.
Because the town does own the creek, up to the creek, so they're probably on town land.
It looks
But
like
I
it's
know
on the
the-
other side of the line.
But the power company comes through and trims any trees that are there near the power lines.
so would the goal be to trim or remove the trees, or just identify who the owner is?
One doesn't look too good. With those lines above the ground the way they are, putting in a park, I just foresee some issues with a potential tree falling down.
Is that something we could contact the utility and ask them maybe to give it a look? Would that be,
Just
Your
if
liking?
somebody could look into that.
Yeah, we'll look into it a little bit more, a little further. Let us get this application submitted, and then we'll start working on the tree aspect of it.
All right.
See what we can find out. Maybe through the electric company, they may know.
I mean, I'll continue looking too, but I hit a dead end there, so.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Mr. Riss, does that satisfy you for the action by
Yes,
staff?
thank
Okay,
you.
okay.
Thanks for the clarification. I appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Okay, any other questions for staff related to these items? No, very good. Okay, we now turn to commissioner comments. Commissioner Buckman?
Yes. So where I live is right by Lincoln and South Seaton, and I have experienced and witnessed a high number of accidents at that intersection. And I was wondering if we could look at making those, right turn onlys as you're entering South Seaton, because once that Seaton Center's moved there, the traffic's going to be higher, and I think that's going to be really problematic. I've even seen, I think when I first moved here, a child got hit on their bicycle there. It's just people are racing up to that light, and they're getting to work, and the accidents are happening. So I was wondering if we could go ahead and look at that at some point.
Right turn only where?
So if you're coming up to South Seaton on Lincoln Avenue from either direction, that it just be a right turn only.
From South Seaton onto Lincoln?
From Lincoln
Lincoln.
onto South Seaton. So you can't make that left.
Okay.
I mean, it's certainly something we can discuss and look into. I'm sure there's a lot of parameters that need to be taken into consideration. Traffic flows, traffic patterns, EMS, fire, rescue, police. So, I mean, I think it's something that,
Commercial.
yeah, commercial,
And-
that, if staff's directed to, we can look into.
Good point.
But there's a lot of things taken into consideration. And my understanding is, I believe it was discussed previously prior to my being here. And I don't know what the outcome.
There is a,
Just another accident 2 days ago.
It's
It's
there is a
happening
control
constantly.
on the one though, from
East Lincoln.
when you're heading when you're on East Lincoln heading west.
Yeah.
During a certain, I think it's
During
like
certain
evening rush
time.
hour, you can
Yes.
turn right only.
Right.
But the question may be enforcement there, perhaps. I don't know if that's occurring or not, but the other
I think
part
it's too
is,
dangerous.
We tried to make
For
them
both?
one way at one time. Make it one way.
They were one way at one time.
Yeah, we tried, I think we discussed to make it one way again, down or, both sides, North Alley and West Lincoln and East Lincoln. So I don't think it ever came through all the
I
way.
bet if we look at it, the number of accidents there are probably higher than any other little intersection in our
Oh.
town.
That would be good to put on your agenda for your committee to discuss that, maybe have just suggestions of,
Okay,
make it one way and
okay,
stuff like that, and then bring it back to the board.
okay.
definitely statistics to help.
Also, from the Citizens Advisory Committee meeting, and also from going to the Maryland Municipal League meeting, a lot of towns conduct their meetings, so if it's not an agenda item, townspeople can come up first. Because I think the Citizens Advisory Committee believes that it dissuades people from coming in, because they have to sit here for so long, and it makes it less hospitable to come in here. And so I would put it up, if we could talk about it at some point, to, if it's not an agenda item, that townspeople can say their piece first. Also, do we want to talk about that, or can I just go?
Sure, keep going, that's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
if you
Also,
want.
from the Citizens Advisory Committee meeting, a lot of the community members realize letters have to go out, but we're wondering if at the bottom of that letter, that if you have trouble accomplishing or solving this problem, to either contact the Seton Center or this Emmitsburg Cares, they may be able to assist you. Just a little line underneath, directing them to community support.
Both of those organizations are non-town related. I don't believe that we can include them on the letters.
Or you could say, as a suggestion, maybe you could, I don't know.
In the text, you mean, as
It's
opposed to
just-
part of the
they're
letterhead?
strongly worded, and
Sure.
people who can't do it feel isolated, and they don't reach out, they get more apathetic. It'd be-
Go ahead, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt.
that was a good interruption. I don't know what to say after
I'm
that.
sorry. I do have copies here of the letters. The letters are written matter of fact. I
Exactly.
don't believe they're harshly written. I think they're matter of fact. It appears that your lawn has, I have copies if anybody wants to see
Right.
them. The letters they're legal based. They're
Right.
written as matter of fact. We do say if you are having problems, please contact the town office. Nothing precludes you, if you get a copy of this letter, to call the town office and ask for help. You know, and our receptionist or our office manager, our town clerk, Ms. Sipperly, we can point you in the right direction. One of my recommendations is, as the liaison to the Citizens Advisory Committee, as a kind of meet you in the middle kind of thing, we have discussed providing you a CC copies of the enforcement letters if you wanted to reach out to them. Now, I don't know how people would receive that. I don't know, as if I were to receive a letter, if I want anybody else knowing that I'm getting a letter. And people are sensitive, and if you insinuate that they need help, some people are offended. But that's just staff's point of view, and it is open for your discussion.
So let me take that back to the Citizens Advisory Committee with what you just said, and we'll,
Could I?
I mean, I have copies of the enforcement letters if anybody wants to see them, of what a template it is, and everybody gets the basic standard letter citing the code, and it starts out, it appears that this has happened, in case you've fixed it by the time you get this letter. It states the section of code, what the violation is, what your time frame, which I think is very understanding. You have a long time to rectify the violation, and if you don't rectify it, what is the penalty? And those are all things that have to be included in a letter. And I don't know how you make them nice.
yeah, it's a strange dance. I
Yes,
understand.
it is. So,
Yeah, but the line in there is saying, if you have any problems or you would like to discuss this matter, please feel free to call. We're open to.
Could I just say something too? And
Yeah.
usually it's, if somebody does call, it's not because they can't afford to mow their lawn, it's because they haven't had the time.
Right.
So if that's the case, we usually will give them an extension of a few days. And we also time the letters actually so that people get them either probably on a Friday or a Saturday, so they get them on the weekend. And then by code, they have a certain number of days. So, we allow for mailing and, we just try to fit it to people's time frames because everybody
Right.
works during the week and, they're
Right.
likely to, and then we go recheck them and sometimes we give them a second notice. I think it's a very understanding,
Maybe what
but-
the Citizen Advisory Committee could know is if there's a second notice. We'll talk about that.
there is a sentence right in here. It says, please feel free to contact me at the town office with any related questions. You start giving people second notices, second chances, or second notices. You do that after the violation is already up, so that now you have, like here, you have 2 weeks to mow your grass. So then you're going to let them go a month without cutting
Yeah.
their grass,
The
and you know how high grass cut.
I don't
goes.
think the citizens have complained about that they need to cut their grass. I think they feel like it's harsh. And it just might just be that it got them and they're stressed. I don't know.
Right.
But that's what the perception is. So I
And
was
a-
just wondering if there's some way to stick a
Another
marshmallow in
aspect of-
there, make it sweet.
Another aspect of this is often those letters are sent in response to somebody else complaining about something.
Right.
So that person who is bothered by it, they have a right to not, to have some action taken too. So somewhere in the middle, I think we usually do a pretty decent job of
Yeah.
balancing things. And
Well,
I get back to the person who mentioned it and tell them, that
Right.
we're acting on it and it does eventually get handled. So it has not, in 9.5
Back the
years, it hasn't
concerns to
really
them.
been a financial
Okay.
thing.
And the only thing that I'll add is that you may be hearing more, because there are more enforcement letters being sent out this year, because Ms. Nail is doing her job and is doing the enforcement, and the letters are going out, as opposed to last year. The job wasn't being done at 100%, so the letters weren't being sent out and the enforcement wasn't being done. So there may be more, you may be hearing it more because more letters are going out. So, take it back to your committee and keep me informed.
Okay. And then
Okay.
finally, which is a nice closing to that conversation, Mount St. Mary's is doing an outreach, and they're looking for people who are, overwhelmed, financially difficult to come in, maybe some elderly people who need their garage cleaned out and they just don't have the wherewithal to do that, the physical strength or whatever. So they should contact the Seton Center. If there's anybody out there who needs some support with some heavy lifting or yard work or painting, those kinds of things.
If you could send me an email with exactly what they're offering, and that's something that we can put up on 99 and Facebook and our
Oh, good.
website to get the information out, because people probably don't know that
Okay.
is an option.
Because that's happening, I think, October 28th is when the students are coming into town.
Okay, if you'll get us the information, we'll get it posted.
Great, thank you.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Yes, sir.
Commissioner Liz, when I took office, the public comments was at the very end, and I had to move it up.
Okay,
So we bumped it up, but we wanted to get into some meat of the agenda, some discussion,
Right.
and then they were on, but it used to be last, so
right.
it's working that way. So,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Buckman?
I'm done, thank you.
You're done? Okay, just want to make sure. All right, Commissioner Ritz?
Well, the school year is upon us, so here's to a safe and happy and productive school year for our students and our teachers sitting up here as well. And just a reminder that the election is September 26th, so if you're registered to vote, get out there and vote.
Great. Okay, thank you, sir.
That's all I have.
Okay.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sweeney?
I don't have anything at this time.
Okay, very good. Commissioner Blanchard?
Yes, Mr. President, a couple things. There is one more food drop from the Emmitsburg Food Bank coming up in September. I do believe it's next Wednesday, September 13th. I can double check the calendar, but I know we have it on the website already. So just kind of getting the word out to people. The last two food bank drops we've been using the Lutheran Church, the parking lot, because of the construction. We've had over 100 families participate both in July and August. So we've been helping out quite a few people in the community with all kinds of fresh produce. So Maryland Food Bank's been helping out the local community quite a bit. So if you get a chance, spread the word about the one more food drop in September. This weekend is the Emmitsburg Thermite Community Show. Starts Friday night. I'm not sure if anybody's getting a chance to carry the flag or not, but I know I got previous commitment. I can't do it, but I don't know if anybody else can.
Love to.
Are you gonna do it?
Like your father again?
Okay.
I would love to.
I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. We should have some representation.
You may
if
have an
possible.
email from them. So,
Should have been an email about a week or 2 weeks ago asking for someone to.
I never
I don't
got
know.
it.
I just know I can't do it myself. So
I didn't see an email.
okay.
Did you get an email, Commissioner
I think it went to everybody. I
I went
thought.
to all of us.
I think it went to all commissioners. Double check your email, maybe. It might. I know we get a lot.
Ask
so
for
it might
someone
be
to carry
there.
the flag and everything else.
What was the title to that email, just so I could look back?
I think this is Emmitsburg Thermite Community Show.
Okay.
And it's real simple. It basically is they have a parade of flags, like MML, and they just ask you to carry the town flag through this parade, and they say, Emmitsburg. You know, you just kind of, that's about it. And they, sort of give you a shout out basically when they introduce guests. So, but I just know Friday night I have a previous commitment, so if anyone can go, it's a good way to represent the town.
Okay.
So, all right, cool. And I think that's it. Yep, that's it.
Okay, great. Thank you, sir. Coming up, some changes related to trail stuff. As always, I'm the trail guy, as it were. Trail access is going to change this weekend. The first hunting season begins. I believe it's archery. So trail access will go to Sundays only for trail users, for hikers, bikers, runners, riders, and so on. A promotional video set has been completed. One's about a trail day, another's about trail users, and the other one is promoting the town and trail access. Commissioner Buckman, I have asked if we can get a map in there so you can find it, just so you know. Okay. Upcoming, we do have an election. We're in a good situation, I think, where we have competition for the election, and that's good. It seems that both candidates are passionate about the town and its health. Commissioner Ritz, I will say this. This is not goodbye. It's just a standard statement that I give to all commissioners when they come up on election. I want to acknowledge your service to the community.
Thank you.
You've added value to what we do here as a board.
Thank you.
Sometimes with us, sometimes against us, but appropriately all the time, and that's really appreciated.
Thanks.
So my hat's off to you for that. It's not easy to be a commissioner sometimes, and it's a burden that we are eager to share. So it's good to see competition in this venue. Beyond that, the Civil War Century Ride is coming into town. It draws people literally globally to our humble northern Frederick County, and a lot of people stay in the area. They eat, drink, spend the night, buy gasoline, go to the groceries. So there is a nice economic benefit. And as people like around here, I know, people come, they spend their money, and then they go away. So that's always a happy tourist piece. And beyond that, remember the election, vote early, vote often, yeah? And that's about it, yeah?
You know.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. All right. So, Mr. Mayor, we turn to you for the mayor's comments.
Okay, thank you very much. First of all, happy anniversary to Tyler and Maggie Shaw on their wedding anniversary today.
Oh.
Right?
Thank you.
You just got to speak up.
Oh, speak up more. Okay, great. Sorry. Okay, I apologize that. Let's see. I want to thank, we have Pastor John here, Talcott, and I want to thank you for the Frederick County Narcotics Anonymous meetings you're holding every Monday evening at 7 p.m. at Christ Community Church at 303 West Lincoln Avenue. Don't be shy if you feel like it's sneaking up on you again, or you've gotten off them, or you're about ready to get on some drugs. You have friends there, and thank you to Christ Community Church for that service. August 11th, I met with Joe Leppertz, and it was a series of meetings that start off on an extra bus ride from Emmitsburg, Thurmont, and into Frederick every day, one at noon, and it's kind of spiraled into the last 2 weeks over Mount students and some of the activities here. For the last couple of years, I've been after them. Please, you should know where your students live in town. And they said they just didn't have the capability. But as Deputy Ted's mentioned, they do have the capability of letting us know where these students are and where they live, and if there's mischief, we can nail it right there. I will be meeting with the Chief of Staff, Mr. Wayne Green, in the next 2 weeks on that same subject. August 14th, I met with Roger Wilson down there. Again, it's about the bus ride. Can we get one more bus ride instead of, you have to leave here early in the morning and come. And if you have a appointment in the morning, you have to wait till late in the afternoon to come back. And that discourages ridership. And let's just give us one more drive up. And I'm working with Mayor John Kinnaird of Thurmont. We're working hand in hand on that, trying to get that. And hopefully we'll do something there. I met with Frank Davis. A lot of updates on the community and what's happening in the square and what might be the effect on the fire hall and all kinds of things and what's going out, what they're going to propose tonight. Met with on August 16th with Bob Brennan, Vice President of Mount St. Mary's University. Again, it had to do with student activities, get prepared for this and what we're up against and what their plans are for the future. And it looks like they're going to come into concord with us on what we asked them about 2 years ago. If you have a student living here in town, first you got to know their name, where they are, and but it should be a requirement that we have every kind of safety measure for these students in here. You must have everything: radon, mold, fire, the number of people that can live there and actively be there. And we're getting close to that, and with the new president they have here. Met with Mark Lancaster, chairman of the board of Boys and Girls Club, and Alan Knott, treasurer of EBPA, and we had a good meeting about the prospects of having that club come up here. And I'm working with Commissioner Liz on this, and we're maybe another year off before we can really pull something off in that direction. We have a little space here in the building, but we have to, a lot of things have to fall in place, and the big thing is money. And it costs about $95,000 to run a Boys and Girls Club up here. We'd love to have one, but we don't have the $95,000. And we may be able to get it for the first year, but ultimately, they may just turn to the town and to keep the program going, and we just don't have that capability at this time. I did attend the Thurmont Little League Parade. We have 5 members of that team from Emmitsburg, a 12-man team, and we have good baseball here with Cal Ripken, and we had kids down there, and hats off to them this year. Cal Ripken's won championships in the past, and this year it was Thurmont Little League, and we had 5 out of the 12 players are from this our town. August 18th, I attended and spoke at the groundbreaking for the new Seton Center on East Lincoln, and terrific event, and it's just a lot of a big group of people there, and Commissioner O'Donnell and Commissioner Liz were there, and it was just kind of really a special event that it's going to be good for them to bring that energy downtown, drag it down there, and make it more accessible. I was at the bus stop, drove by the bus stop at Federal in East Main, and there's so many kids there waiting for a bus. It looks like they'd almost have to have their own bus to pick up. I didn't know that many people were, and just a lot of people from that area there, and so it'd be a good location right there down at Federal. Final town block party, which is our faux pool party, and we had a great time. Liv and I served hot dogs, and it was just a great evening. I think a couple of commissioners dropped by, but a little rain inhibited a little bit, but we finally good style, and I want to thank Maddie Shaw and Amy Nail, and really pulled off a wonderful event down there, and also our staff, Jimmy Click's staff, they're always there helping us out. Let's see, met with Wayne Powell and Denise Savignon of the Seton Center, and we're looking into certain things with fire protection and for apartment residents, and that's starting to get moving. It's something we started about 2 years ago and couldn't get it moving, and now it looks like something may be there. Met with Vicky Grinder, who's the head of the Main Street program down in Thurmont, about advertising and promoting a special supplement issue of the Frederick News Post, and we're going to be engaged in that, and I will write a little article for that along with their mayor. So things are moving there. Spoke with Sandy Umbrell of the Cal Ripken League Board of Directors twice, and we'll see what's happening there. And August 30th, attended the mayor and Burgess meeting with the county executive down at Winchester Hall. Coming up, the community show, which is this week, and Commissioner Liz, you're going to do the flag, is that right? Okay, great. Thank you very much. That's really important. And let's see. We know I had something down here. The next event coming up is National Fallen Firefighters Memorial Weekend. It's October 7th through the 9th, with a memorial service on the 9th. It'll be held here over at the campus, Homeland Security campus, and if weather permitting, or else it'll move over the mount. But I know the president's been invited. We don't know if he's received it, but we have 6,000 guests coming to our town, and let's welcome them. And we're hoping that our project downtown will be far enough along so they can get around a little bit better and with that. But we'll go from there. And then finally, I had one more thing. November. Okay, here we go. We have our dinner on December 6th. Down at the Delaplane Visual Center. That's the Maryland Municipal League chapter. We'll have to put some reservations in here, and unfortunately I can't. MML wrote too fast. I can't read my writing. But I apologize for that, but it happens. But we have an update for the commissioners on the October meeting on all our projects. You know, we're coming off our vacations and everything, and everybody's getting their heads around a lot of things. And we'll give you a Flat Run Bridge, square, revitalization downtown sidewalk, the dog park, the pool, and Emmett Yard Tot Lot, and the grant for the athletic field. if you can possibly wait till then, we'll just push it all together, and it'll be an agenda item, and we'll go from there. Thank you very much for your time.
Okay. At this time, we turn to public comments. We have 2 individuals signed up. Mr. Davis, I'm going to pose a question to you. Your topic is coming up under administrative business. Are you okay to delay, or do you just want to have an open mic for a few moments? Okay, very good. So at this time, I invite Ms. Jenny Joy.
Hello.
Hello.
Thank you. I'm just here tonight.
Identify yourself and
Yeah.
your address.
Hi, my name is Jennifer Joy. I live at 4035 Carrick Court in Emmitsburg. And I'm just here to introduce myself as a person who's running for election for the town commissioner. For the second time, actually. I've lived in Emmitsburg for 14 years with my husband, Patrick, and my 2 daughters. My background is in public affairs, and I was a writer-editor for the National Institute on Drug Abuse and public affairs specialist for the Alcohol, Drug Abuse, and Mental Health Administration before I chose to stay at home and raise my children. I had a brief employment with the town for a year and a half in the planning and zoning department, and then devoted my time to volunteering in our community. Some may remember me from the Emmitsburg Children's Praise Choir or the Silver Lining Teen Band that I ran for 11 years at Elias Lutheran, St. Joseph, and Trinity United Methodist. Some may also know me from church, as I have been singing at St. Joe's for 13 years, and still others may know me for the work that I've done with the Lions Club and Community Heritage Day for the past 5 or 6 years. I am currently chair of the Heritage Day Committee, and I have successfully applied for grants to complete projects for the festival. I have managed the public affairs and printing aspects of the event, developed the website, emmitsburgevents.com, recruited vendors for the festival, running the bandstand, getting bands for the bandstand, running the kids' art contest, and I'm generally the organizer of the committee and of the festival. With the help of others on the committee members such as Clifford Sweeney, Jim Houck, Mike Hartigan, Patrick Joy, Wayne Slaughter, and the Lions Club, and our invaluable community organization of partners and businesses, we have made this annual festival better than ever. I just hope that it will continue to improve and become something every citizen in Emmitsburg looks forward to every year. As most of you know, it is the stay-at-home parents and retirees and seniors and local businesses who are the bones of this community. They are the ones who volunteer in the schools, community organizations, and nursing homes, and they are the ones who keep the home fires burning for the ones who are returning home from their long commutes every day. They are the ones who keep the town running and vibrant. They are the ones who notice the day-to-day workings of the town. They notice when their neighbor's garage is left open or if the trash gets picked up. They are also the ones who use our public services, parks, and pools the most. They are the ones who shop in town during the day, and they are the ones who notice in the community those who are struggling or who need assistance. They are our town's greatest resource for information and assistance. It is for these people that I run for commissioner. I would like to help us develop a town where people believe the government is an advocate for them, where they can go and say, I want to do this. How can you help me accomplish this? Instead of saying it's impossible, I want to find ways to make it possible. We need town government that is on our side and says, how can I help you? With the new square and town improvements, our town will be even more citizen friendly and will hopefully stimulate growth in business and perhaps allow us to finish the developments we started 15 years ago. I want to help make that happen. Just by bringing in new businesses and residents, we will increase our tax base so that the services will be more available to our citizens. It only makes sense to finish these developments and to come up with solutions quickly to the problems that are preventing this from happening. I love this town, and I only want to see it thrive and flourish. My heart is with the people, and I would like to be a part of helping them to be active participants of our town by providing activities that unify and create community. Like Ms. Buckman, I would like to open communication lines between organizations in town and the town government. The problem is our organizations don't talk to each other, and so they end up duplicating activities, or even worse, co-opting each other's events and activities. I would like to open these lines of communication. I also would like to bring energy and vitality to our town. It seems of late, at least the last few years, that apathy has taken hold and that we are afraid to be involved in our neighbors' lives. Emmitsburg is only as safe as the communication between its citizens. You want drugs out of our community? You want crime out of our community? Then we need to communicate with each other and provide support and activities for our youth and children. We have to give something for our kids to do here at home. They all have to go off other places to have sports and things like that. We need to start providing activities here. This doesn't have to cost much. All it requires is a little time and effort on the part of our community. And the town can help facilitate this by keeping its citizens informed on all they need to know about the community and providing opportunities for neighbors to meet neighbors and talk with one another. I think it's these activities that help us to no longer be strangers living in a town, but members of a large family. I honestly believe that this town is a special place and that we as its caretakers need to deal with our problems in a straightforward and honest way. Is it already done? Sorry.
But
I have 5 seconds left.
can you wrap it up in 30
I can.
seconds?
Yes.
Okay.
We can solve our problems that come our way if we are willing to listen, debate, and find reasonable solutions to our problems. As Americans, we are stronger when we work together toward a common good, and I want to help that make that happen.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me speak.
Sure. I don't want to cut out that part about listening. Yeah.
Listening. Okay.
I prognosticated. Very good. Okay, sure. Thank you very much for your time, and thank you for sharing. Okay, moving forward, now we turn to administrative business. We turn to the town manager related to the Vigilant Hose Company request for a May 2018 road closure.
Yes, I'll let Mr. Davis make his presentation, and I have made some few inquiries to State Highway if there's any questions.
Great, okay.
Hi, Frank Davis, president of the Vigilant Hose Company. Well, May 19th seems like a long ways away, but it's really not, of 2018. The fire department will be holding its largest fundraiser of the year. It's known as our Spring Fling, which is normally held at Mount St. Mary's. But this year we are bringing it into town to be held at the ambulance complex. It can draw as many as 2,000 people, so the crowd will be rather large and there'll be a lot of traffic in that area. So looking at our planning and safety, we are requesting permission to have Creamery Road closed from the entrance to Quality Tire up to Creamery Way. This would not affect any businesses. It would have full access. Basically, all it's doing is cutting off traffic flow in front of the ambulance building. And we think it'd be good to have the event in town. We think it'll help us with attendance. And so we want to be as safe as possible. And we just asked your consideration in that road closure from, say, 10 in the morning until 6 at night.
I think
Okay,
that
thank you. Any questions?
Parking will be lower too, because a lot of people can walk to the event instead of driving.
Right.
So.
And I have been in contact with some of the businesses. I haven't made it to all of them yet. Everyone has been very positive in response. And actually, Quality Tire has offered their area to park.
Oh, great. Okay.
But I haven't made it to everybody yet. So.
Okay, terrific. Okay. All right. So,
Yes.
are we turning to,
So basically, town staff and we've discussed this with Public Works, and we see no problem with closing that section of Creamery Road. I inquired from State Highway if we needed to do anything through them. State Highway's opinion was the location was far enough off of 140 and far enough from 15 that it would not impact State Road, so we would not require, or they would not need a permit from the town. The only thing that they suggested was if closing Creamery Road, if we wanted to alleviate any traffic coming down there except for maybe those businesses, we could put a signboard on 15 saying Creamery Road is closed, use alternate route. We would have to just simply make an application for document purposes, but they don't see a problem with that either. So it would just need a vote from the board to go ahead and move forward with closing the road and then submitting the application.
so would the signboards be on Route
15,
15?
just 15.
Okay, but not on 140?
No.
Okay. All right, and that would be not a fee thing for us or for
No
the
fee.
party folks?
Right.
for lack of a better description. Okay.
Safety-wise, I think ultimately putting the signboard up there is the best. It would be my recommendation. It'll alleviate any unforeseen traffic coming down and people getting down there and having to turn around and getting mad.
Sure.
The only thing I can think of would be the Mother Seton School Carnival. I can't remember when they set up. It would be the week after that, starting on that Monday. Would that interfere with that at all?
Has there been any he needs to come back up.
Sure.
That would be a question for Mr. Davis.
No, we haven't talked to Mother Seton yet, which we wanted to because we wanted to also check with them on parking.
Yeah.
But if there is a problem, we can get carnival rides through there or whatever we need to do
Yeah.
for them to get
I don't know
through.
when they set up. I was just thinking.
It's the week after Mother's
It's the
Day.
Sunday before.
Yes,
It's the week after Mother's Day.
They probably would set up, like the carnival would start on the 22nd and you're looking at the 13th.
Yeah, it should be
19th. We're looking at the 19th.
Okay,
So
so
it
they
would be
would
right
setting up.
before. Normally, I think what the carnivals do is tear down on a Saturday night from some other location and come in
They'd roll it
Sunday
in,
morning, I
roll it in
think.
Sunday.
Right.
Correct.
Not that I'm a carny, but
Yeah.
Small hands. Okay. Any other questions or concerns?
So we'd be voting this evening.
I would like it so that we could start on our end with State Highway.
Okay.
And then I'm sure they need for planning purposes that they can move forward as well.
Okay, so there are a couple ways we can do this. We can do a direct vote now. We can give a straw poll and say, we support this idea. Do a formal vote as an agenda item if we want other public feedback. I don't think and I hate to be a rubber stamp person on this occasion, but I think this would be a rubber stamp occasion in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
Anybody have any concerns if we take a vote on it tonight?
I have no concerns.
I think it's reasonable
Nope.
and it's
Mr.
great
Vice
that it's
Chair?
coming
Okay, Mr.
into
Mary,
town.
no concerns on your end?
It's our position, yeah.
Okay, very good. All right, so therefore, is there a motion to allow for the closing of Creamery Road as described for the Vigilant Hose Company event? And the specific date, May
May 19th.
19th, 2018. Okay. The motion has been made by Commissioner Sweeney. Is there a second for the motion? Bless you.
I'll second.
Okay, the Commissioner Ritz has seconded. Is there any further discussion?
Sorry.
No. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. The motion carries 5-0. Very good.
Thank you so much. And just one other quick thing. The sidewalk completion in front of the fire station was perfect without a hitch. We had no problems. I would like to thank you and the contractor and the state. We do have one little problem. There is a footprint there, and you might want to check with your maintenance superintendent.
Sounds like Cinderella a little bit, Interesting. Very good. Moving forward, we look at the consent agenda item, and, let's pose this for a moment, okay? Correct. We have a regular agenda item that relates to a human resources discussion. Now, we have a staffer from representing the human resources piece who is here, in a way, held hostage. Would anybody have issue were we to move to that single agenda item
That's fine.
to accommodate?
That's fine.
That's fine.
No issues? Okay, very good. So
She's
we
getting
will
paid.
step out of our sequence. We will now move to our agenda item related to the human resources employee handbook. Okay.
All right.
Good evening.
Thank you. Good evening.
Sure.
I didn't feel like I was being held hostage, but
Okay,
thank you.
well, good.
Back in mid-July, I met with the town manager and town clerk to discuss the Town of Emmitsburg Employee Handbook. It had been a number of years since it had had a major overhaul, and we met to discuss some concerns around policies as well as talk about updates that needed to be made. In your packets, you have a copy of the change document, which outlines all of the changes and revisions that I'm suggesting, along with input from the town manager and town clerk. Most of them were not editorial. They were things that needed to be updated to be in compliance with state and federal law, as well as to just incorporate some best practice policies around HR and employee management. I don't know if you've had a chance to review that change document yet, but I think you'll see that most of the changes are pretty straightforward in nature.
Did everyone? I have a copy here. It looks like it's page 33. Was there some change?
Just to that page only, there was something omitted from the bereavement leave.
Okay, so the bereavement leave piece was updated.
Correct.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. I can't. I don't see it.
So the update around the bereavement policy is listed under number 35 of the change document. It now includes a family definition of spouse, child, mother, father, brother, sister, step, and in-law relationships included, or any person who at the time of death resided in your household as a member of your family related by blood or marriage. It expanded that definition.
Okay. Oh, so this matches what's here. What we have tonight. Okay.
Yes, the copy that you're looking at right now is the revised
Thank you.
version. Sorry for the confusion on that.
Okay, so for sake of clarity on what we're looking at in general is we're looking to update our employee handbook. We're trying to make sure it's compliant with the state of Maryland and the federal government's codes. There's nothing that's substantially changed in the tone of the handbook. Is there anything specific that we need to be mindful of?
No, the tone of the handbook, the outline, the formatting changed. There's a few areas, a few additions that would bring to your attention.
Okay. And then the intent is that we review this, we give it consideration, and are you looking for an approval tonight?
That is solely up to you as the board.
Okay,
If
so
you
we do have this
If you
right.
feel comfortable
Okay.
approving it, that would be great. We wouldn't have to bring it back, but if you do not, we can bring it back at another meeting.
Okay, so related to the staff's position, you're comfortable with what you see at this point in time before comment from the board?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we are.
Terrific. Okay, thank you. Okay, so, would it be best to look at the substantive changes or modifications? Is that aligned with what you will hope to do right now?
I think it's probably easier for you to review the change document first and then read through the entire handbook. I feel like I've done a pretty thorough job of capturing those changes in the change document, and that really highlights the changes that were made to the larger document. I understand that reading through the entire employee handbook can be a little bit dry.
Seems like you mostly changed the language to be more user-friendly.
That's correct.
Go through the changes.
It doesn't look so legal.
It might be easier if our town manager.
Do you want to drive the discussion on the
No,
change document?
I would, no,
Okay,
I'm
all
sorry, I
right.
didn't know what you said. I prefer if Amanda takes the
Okay.
lead on this.
Okay, but you have Mark there. I just thought
Yeah,
might be.
this was for my staff meeting.
Okay.
Okay, so we're all clear, everybody's on page 44 or 49?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're good? Okay.
Okay, so as indicated in the change document, there were just some formatting changes throughout. Those are self-explanatory. I did revise the acknowledgement form to include an at-will employment provision. At-will is kind of the letter of the law here in Maryland, and it explains that any employee or employer can end the employment relationship at any time for any reason or no reason at all. And so we just want to make sure that that language is very clear throughout the handbook. So there were a couple references that needed to be updated on that. Also adding that it's not a contract for employment. Again, having that at-will employment acknowledgement. In the version that I received initially, there were several references to HR, and although I am enjoying being a consultant to the town, I'm not a full-time staff member, and so we felt that it was more appropriate to change those references to the town manager, because the employees would go to the town manager first, and then the town manager would consult with me on an as-needed basis. We felt that that kind of clarified that for current employees. We rewrote the welcome message and changed the author of that to the town manager. There was a section called Our Responsibilities that was really just kind of fluffy language that didn't have any meaning, so we removed that. In terms of who can conduct an investigation related to a harassment claim, we added the town manager to that. That person Kathy would be responsible for leading the charge on that. And then we added more specific language around several EEO categories. And so this is the preferred method now, to have separate policies around disability, reasonable accommodation due to pregnancy, age, gender identity, genetic information, and retaliation. And that gets you in compliance with both federal and state laws. Number 10, we added that credit reports will only be requested for employees who are in positions of trust and have access to currency and or financial information. That's to get you in compliance with the Fair Credit Reporting Act. There are more stringent requirements around who can and cannot have a background check run on them. Number 11, we added information around driving records. This is particularly important for town-owned vehicles to limit your liability. Number 12, we removed advance notice of the need to take family or medical leave. That change is because there are less than 50 employees employed by the town, and therefore you are not subject to the Federal Family and Medical Leave Act. 13, change performance assessments to performance evaluations. When I was here last, we talked about performance evaluations and just changing that language to be consistent with what we went with that updated form. Some, vocabulary language changes to just make it a little more user-friendly, as Commissioner Buckman indicated. Number 18, we added job abandonment to the employee separation policy. Job abandonment is typically when someone is no call, no show for a period of time. So we wanted to make sure that that was covered under employee separation as a need for termination. We changed rehire to eligible for rehire because not all people that separate from the town are necessarily eligible for rehire. We added additional information on the payout of accrued but unused leave and included in the payroll administration section of the handbook. That was added to the employee separation policy. We changed the language in the standard work hours policy to reflect overtime calculations on work week versus work day. That's to be in compliance with the Fair Labor Standards Act, and that's just generally the way that it's calculated by most organizations. We updated the comp time policy per the town manager's request. The payment upon separation policy was also updated per the town manager's request. The expense reimbursement policy was updated per the town clerk's request. And vacation, sick, and personal leave policies, which I believe the board had reviewed previously, were updated in the handbook. Number 26, we removed a brief sentence from the unemployment insurance section. It wasn't applicable. We added an educational assistance policy that was at the town manager's request, and I believe that she brought that forward to the board previously about that change. We were just adding it into the handbook so that we have all the policies and procedures in one central location. We added during work time to the conflicting outside activities policy. This is so that you're not in violation of the National Labor Relations Act, Section 7, rights of employees. We added e-cigarettes, vapes, and other smoking devices to the smoking policy, since those devices have gained popularity since your smoking policy was first issued. I don't even think that those things were around when you probably issued that policy initially. We added an acceptance of gifts policy and a work product ownership policy that has to do with intellectual property, so that if an employee creates something while they're employed by the town of Emmitsburg, the town owns that work product. We added unpaid parental leave. That's to be in compliance with Maryland law. We revised the attendance policy's call-in instructions per the town clerk's request. We revised the disciplinary policy to include more specific language on documentation per the town manager and town clerk's request, and as we've already noted, updated the bereavement policy. I will say that I work with a number of clients on employee handbooks, and sometimes I get handed a document that hasn't been looked at in 10 or 12 years, and it's a little bit of a nightmare. And I'm happy to report to you that your handbook was in pretty good shape. This may seem like a lot of changes, but in the grand scheme of things, and normally when I do handbook reviews, these are all pretty minor changes. So I was pretty pleased pleased with what you had in place already. And my hope is that these changes just make your handbook even more useful to employees and also to managers.
I'm pleased with it.
Okay. Anybody have any questions specifically for HR or for staff? No? Okay. All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're looking at this item as an item for consideration. Double checking. Yep. Okay, good. Is there a motion? Or rather, is there any discussion before there's a motion? No? Okay. Is there a motion to accept the modifications as presented to the Town of Emmitsburg Employee Handbook?
I'd like to make a motion to accept the modifications to the Emmitsburg Town Employee Handbook as presented.
Very good. Is there a second for the motion?
I'll second the motion.
The motion's been made by Commissioner Buckman. It's been seconded by Commissioner Blanchard. Is there any further discussion? None? Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anybody against? No? The motion carries 5-0. All commissioners in favor? Thank you. Okay.
Thank you.
We now turn back to our regular format. Greatly appreciated. Thank you for your flexibility.
Thank you.
Moving on, we go to administrative business. Proclamation for September National Substance Abuse Prevention Month and approval of 2017 Chevrolet Silverado for consideration.
The proclamation, Mr. Mayor, do you want to take care of that one?
I was going to have good Commissioner O'Donnell read that for us. Did you want to read it? Or, I
Sure.
thought I was going to pass, buddy pass to
Okay, yeah, thank you.
page 17.
Page
It's
17.
only 7 pages.
Okay, item H, correct? All right, sorry for my lag time. I did